What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to my eBay warehouse. We're in the studio right now. Wanted to break down a couple things we got going on. First of all, we've got a lot of new subscribers, so if you're new to the channel, my name's Brandon, also known as the Resale King. I am full-time Air Force, but I sell on eBay as an extra income source. I started in an extra room in my house, moved to a garage, moved to a detached garage, moved to a warehouse, started renting that for a little bit, and now I finally own this warehouse. We got a really cool topic to talk about today. I bought a Ziplock bag for $2 that ended up having enough items in it to make me about $1,000 on eBay. I sold 7 things this past weekend. I've got to go pull and ship. Not a whole lot of items, but it was over $650 in sales. I finally got my listing area set up, a whole new process of listing things, so we'll run through that. At the end of the video, I've got some channel announcements, some of the things that we're gonna be doing in the future, and finally, we're gonna be talking about some giveaways coming up. So stick around and I'll break it down. What is going on, everyone? We're back in the studio. I want to talk about something really cool that I just picked up. If you watched my last video, I went over how most of the time a lot of the things that I'm purchasing are in big buys, so a lot of the times I'm not going to thrift stores, yard sales, anything like that. I do love going to yard sales, and I'm going to be doing that in the near future. I will be wearing a GoPro attached to my chest so that we can get some of those cool finds, be able to see some of the bartering tactics that I use. Not that it's even anything that, you know, spectacular or original. But I did decide recently that I wanted to stop in a thrift store, and I'm really excited that I did. So I'm gonna show you what I found. So I don't even like this thrift store. The only reason I was there is because it was beside the DMV and I needed to get the tags done on my trailer. So I go in there and like usual, this thrift store just sucks. I mean, there's really nothing in there. They have a huge partition between the back and front half of the store, and you're only allowed to shop in the front half. The back half, I've looked over, peeked around, and they have a lot better things in the back. I am positive that they are selling some of the donations that they get for a higher price online, or even maybe some of the local Facebook marketplace groups or whatever have you. I'm not sure how they do it, but I know that I've seen things in there that never made it to the front of the store. I went around the store, nothing there. So I was about to leave, and I happened to just go look in the back to look at the VHS tapes. There really wasn't anything great in there. There was a couple things I considered getting, but at the end of the day, I was probably just gonna leave. And then I looked over on the shelf beside the VHS tapes that was kind of shoved away into the corner. And I saw a Ziploc bag that looked like it was full of baseball cards. Now, I have a couple baseball cards that, you know, are graded and are worth a little bit of money, but nothing really that great. And then we all know that, you know, usually 80s, 90s baseball cards were just, they seemed to print them as fast as they could get access to the card stock. A lot of them just aren't worth anything. There's a couple, you know, few outliers here and there. But I decided that, what the heck, I'm gonna look through there and see if I recognize anyone and see maybe if there was some better ones in there. So I start going through these. Immediately after the first 3 or 4 cards, I realized that these are not just baseball cards. So I took them up to the guy. It was an older gentleman. I think he was in his 80s. And I said, how much is this? Because it didn't have a price on it. And he looked at it, didn't even look through the cards. He just said, I'll take $2 for it. I did not hesitate. I think it's time for me to just show you what I found. I ended up flipping through them all and finding that the vast majority of them were not baseball cards. They were original Garbage Pail Kids cards from the 1980s. So many of you probably remember these from your childhood if you grew up in the 80s. And they still make these today, and they continue making them, I believe, all throughout the 90s, and create a different series every year. My parents always told me about these, and I had no idea how much money that they were going to be worth, but I knew that they would have some value. I've seen some other resellers sell these, so I knew that I had some money here, especially if they were Series 1. And as it would turn out, the vast majority of these are Series 1. Everything right here and under is Series 1, and I even have Atom Bomb and Blasted Billy, the most desirable cards in the whole Series 1 set. The Series 1 came out in 1985, and any year after that is going to be a later series. The ways you can tell is on the back, it says 1985 on the back of the card. All the ones up here are Series 3 and Series 4 cards. They have a little bit of value, but it's really not worth my time to do them individually. I think I'll be able to lot them up and probably sell them 30, 40, 50 bucks for the whole set. For the most part, all of these are in very good condition, especially for being in a Ziploc bag for God knows how long. Some of these might be worth sending into PSA to get graded. Now, but most of them would probably only fetch a PSA 6 or 7 at best. Either way, I know that I can get about $20 or $25 off of each individual Series 1 card, but these guys right here, I'll be able to get about 100 each off of those. Now, if you're into Garbage Pail Kids or trading card collecting, you probably know that there's other versions of the cards. That's why we have the same artwork right here for Atom Bomb and Blasted Billy. They're just different variations to, you know, just add a different level of collectability to them. There's also 2 different series of cards. There's, I don't know if you can see that in the video, but there's right here, there's a little star, a little asterisk. Some of them have 1, and then some of them have 2. You can see right there that this one has 2. So from what I understand, they printed the same card with 1 or 2 asterisks. They printed the 1 star or the 2 stars at different times so that they could tell at the manufacturer whether or not there were defects and if their machines were uncalibrated or if they were having any sort of major defects that were coming out, you know, every 50 cards or every 100 cards. One thing that you can actually tell, and some people look for stuff like this, and it's the same thing with coin collecting, but for this specific defect that I have on one of these cards, it is not as much desirable, but it does happen, and I'll show you what that is right now. If you look at both of these cards, there's actually one thing other than the writing at the bottom that is a little bit different about the left card compared to the right. If you can tell, the white border on this card is perfectly centered. The artwork is perfectly centered and has an even white border all across. Now, if you look over here at Atom Bomb, the white border on this side is a little bit thicker than the one on that side. That is not a centered Garbage Pail Kids card. When you go on eBay, you can see ones that are advertised as perfectly centered, and that is what we have right here, is we have a perfectly centered card. Now, these are also stickers. If you see right here, you can see the outline of the sticker right here. You would pull that off and put it on, you know, whatever. Maybe at the time you'd put it on a Nintendo or maybe a locker at school, which makes it even more rare that these things survive without being taken apart by some kid. But one thing you can look for is one of these, if there's no outline of the sticker, if there's no wavy outline cut into the sticker for you to be able to pull that portion of the sticker off, that means that that card went through and was never cut with the die. That is very rare, and people will pay up for those. There's also 2 different types that were made. There is a matte back and a gloss back. I only have a couple of them. See if I can find one. I only have a couple that actually have the gloss back, and it just adds another level of collectability. Some people are, you know, trying to complete a matte back collection or a gloss back collection. There's not a huge amount of difference in price from what it seems like between the 2. Maybe some cards that are just more rare to have a gloss back or you know, to be found with a matte back, but all in all, they're all worth something when they're the Series 1 cards in good condition. So I put these back in the display case to kind of keep the dust off of them until I get around to listing them all. These were not in the top loaders whenever I purchased them, just so you know. They were loosely in this Ziploc bag, but I ended up putting them each individually into a top loader to preserve the condition that they were already in, which is, like I said, pretty good. I could probably make a whole video on those, talking about all the different things that make them collectible, all the little small variations you may be able to find, and I might make a video. I spent a couple hours doing research on these and trying to figure out exactly how much they're worth. I started doing drafts on some of them, and I did find out, like I said, that in the condition that they're in, they are worth about $20, $25 a piece. So that right there, just with the Series 1 cards, not even considering the Atom Bomb and the Blasted Billy's price, puts me at about $1,000 in value of these cards. So I think that that was probably one of the best thrift store deals and probably one of the coolest thrift store deals that I've ever found. Like I said, I'm not a huge thrift store kind of person. I like going to yard sales. I like doing storage unit auctions. And at a yard sale, people really don't have attachment to those things anymore. A lot of times they're just trying to get rid of things. They're not really looking at making a whole lot of money on each item. They just want to see it gone. And then with storage unit auctions, you just never know what you're going to get in there, because a lot of the times it's because someone couldn't afford it or because someone died, or even they forget about it. Maybe they move away and forget about it. I'm not 100% sure that that happens, but it seems like some of these people may just move away or get deployed in the military, and then they kind of forget about their storage unit, they stop paying on it. And yeah, that'll eventually go for auction and someone will bid on it, and usually that someone is me. A couple high dollar items that sold today, some of them are pretty cool. I sold 7 things for a total of $653. Let's go out there and get the first item. All right, y'all, as you can see, I've cleaned up things a lot more out here, so it'll be a lot easier to not have to walk around everything when I'm picking these orders. So let's get to it. Okay, first thing up is in bin J1. I sold a little key fob from a Shell gas station. I think this is from the 60s or 70s. They made a bunch of different ones, and it has some sort of serial number on it. Yeah, I just found comps for these, and there was some from all over, different states, different cities. This one's from New York City. I actually found this in a toolbox that I bought when I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan. I don't know why it was in there, but I just wanted the tools and I found this in there. It's been sitting in a little wooden box that I keep a lot of little trinkets like this in. I ended up picking it up the other day and just listing some of the small things in there, and yeah, sold this for $19.99, free shipping. All right, y'all, this is a really good sale and probably one of the best sales that I've had in a while. It is a set of 2 joysticks and B1. Let's see, it's packed up right now, but yeah, it's 2 joysticks for Soul Calibur. That's right. These sold for $399.99, so $400 for these. And I have long since paid for the investment in these. I bought them from another eBay seller. I bought his whole inventory out and have long since paid for that and probably tripled my profit of the investment. Yeah, everything from this point on is just money. I sold 3 car parts on rack 3. First up, in box 6, I sold this EGR valve, this EGR 938B right there. 938B. I sold that for $29.99. This has a little bit of weight to it. It's probably going to be over a pound, so it'll probably be about $7 or $8 to ship. But $29.99 free shipping. And then we sold 2 things in box 13 right here. We sold a distributor cap and a distributor brush set. One of those is C156, right there, C156, $14.99 free shipping. And the other one is C210A, which is right here, and that's sold for $9.99 free shipping. Gotta love my car parts. So that is everything from out in the warehouse, but I have 2 things in here that sold. Which brings me to another topic that I want to talk about, and that is my new listing area. It's kind of small, but it's perfect for the vast majority of items that I have. Here's some of the items that I've been cleaning and getting ready to list. They're all on drafts, and then I'll just take pictures of them and then finishing them up. And I'll then put the item down here in one of these bins so that I can update the SKU, and then whenever I fill up these bins, I'll put them out there in the warehouse space. So the 2 items that I sold are actually still within these bins. So within bin W, I sold a Michigan Wolverines metal auto emblem. Have them organized a little bit. Let's see, that's W22. So you have 12 right there. So you have 25 back there, so it should be behind here. There it is, Michigan. I sold that for $10.55 free shipping. I started with about 15 totes of these, and I'm now down to about 1 full tote if I consolidated them all together. Sold them each for about $10 or $15 a piece, and I had 1,800 of them. So yeah, just like the vast majority of things that I have, this is just profit now. And honestly, that is one of the benefits of buying in bulk. But if you're really thinking about doing this bigger than just having a spare bedroom, I would be looking for those larger buys if I were you, because there's just so much more profit to be made. You just have to have the space for it. And then in bin F, I sold a buffing set that goes to a disc resurfacer for video games and DVDs. I sold this set right here for $129.99. That's a sealed set, it's vacuum sealed in there, and then that's a brand new bottle of buffing compound. I have 3 sets of those because I used to have the machine that they go to. I ended up selling the machine and I think about 30 or 40, some broken and then some working video game systems. I sold them for $1,500 on Facebook Marketplace. I just had too many, and I just wanted to offload them and, you know, get some of that return on investment really quick so that I can invest into some of the other things that and there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There is everything that I sold. 7 items for a total of $653. I ended up taking the game pads out of the plastic, or out of the bubble wrap that I had them in, because I need to pack those really well. $400 shipment, I'm not taking any chances. I'll have to look and see where they sold to see how much shipping is going to be, but for $400, you know, even shipping it for $50 will still, you know, bring me a lot of profit. Everything else will be really easy to ship. Nothing's too breakable, and we'll put this into a box actually, but it'll still be pretty easy. I'll just, you know, wrap it in some paper, put some dunnage in there, and call it a day. All right, everything is packed up, and that was a total of $52 to ship these 7 items. So for $650, $653 I think it was, basically $600 of that Basically $600 of that is then subject to eBay fees and taxes, and that's it. So ultimately I probably made about $500 off of these in profit. Talking about shipping, that brings me to the tip of the week. If you have an item that's kind of big, that's just oversized, you know, I'd say probably because of the way that the Priority Mail cubic system works, I'd say anything over 12 by 12 by 6, or it weighs over 15 pounds, or has any dimension over 18 inches, you should really look at FedEx and UPS to see if they have cheaper rates, because a lot of times when you have a bigger item like that, the shipping is so much more expensive trying to ship at USPS. Even going for their cheaper options like USPS Parcel Select, you're still gonna pay more than what you would UPS and FedEx. Now I know that might take a little bit extra time for you to have to make an extra trip to the UPS store, to the FedEx store, but at the end of the day, you might be saving $10, $20, $30 in shipping fees. Now that's my tip. Check for those larger items, some of the competition, to see if it would be cheaper. Of course, whenever you're trying to use FedEx and UPS, you can only do it for the same or better quality of shipping that the buyer paid for. So if the buyer paid for ground shipping, then you can use, you know, for the most part, any UPS or FedEx option, and it'll get there around the same time. But if the buyer paid for Priority Mail, expedited shipping, or first class, yeah, I would not downgrade them to ground shipping through FedEx or UPS. Definitely don't do that. So yeah, that's the caveat to that. I wanted to get around to some of the updates for the foreseeable future of the channel. My plan from this point on is to upload one video per week, minimum. I was considering kind of throwing around the idea, especially when I was, you know, talking about the Garbage Pail Kids, considering maybe doing a short video here and there to do things like DIY for reselling, you know, to kind of go over some of the things that I figured out. There really wasn't a lot of content out there for figuring out some of the things like a glossy or matte back for a Garbage Pail Kid Series 1. The one video I found, it took a long time for the guy to get to the point, and I really didn't even figure it out like that. I kind of figured it out by some older forums with pictures side by side showing what the matte looked like and what the glossy looked like. So I might make a couple little videos here and there doing things like that, so we'll see. Another thing, we are now at 600 subscribers, and I was just at 500 subscribers last week. So this last video really got me a lot of traction, and I appreciate that for all you new subscribers out there. So to show my appreciation, what I'm gonna do is when we hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm gonna do 3 giveaways. I'm gonna do a random comment generator. I'll tell you to put something into the chat, and then I'll use a program to kind of filter through all those. Select a random subscriber that's also in the chat, and then you'll win. And then I'll do it 2 more times for 2 other items. I might do a lot of items, I might do individual items, but I'm gonna give 3 opportunities for people to win some of these giveaways. And that's just a little something I wanna do to kind of give back to the people that are, you know, showing support for the channel. Depending on how fast I get up to 1,000, be on the lookout for that. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you all next week. If there's any of you that haven't subscribed to my channel, I think I'd like to see you do that.